was a country station on Long Island. And the only thing I knew about country radio was what my old business partner had used to listen to because he was from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in, I interviewed, and he said to me, you've never sold anything. Why should I hire you? I'm like, all I've ever done is sell stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've never had a sales job. I sell sponsorships and do some good stuff for my sponsors. Yes. But I'm never getting rich doing my racing. All right.
Yeah.
If I want to become a millionaire doing my racing, I better start as a billionaire because it's a money eating venture. I don't know if I want to be doing this.
Yeah.
I don't want to get thrown to the wolves and spend, a lot of time doing this when it's not supported and nothing. I'm not going to make any difference because all that I'm going to find out later on is everything I taught didn't work.
What was it that made you go out and start your own company?
I like working hard.
Yeah.
And I wanted to work hard for me. I wanted to do it on my terms. Like most entrepreneurs, I want my terms. I want to fight for my financial freedom, my relationship freedom, my time freedom, and everything else. And, and I was never one who was much for taking orders from somebody else.
Did you know there's a technology that's actually an app on your phone that uses sound waves to tell your brain what you want your brain to do? We had a young man that was on a guest on our podcast, the Mike Litton Experience, who had a traumatic brain injury. He was sleeping 3 hours a night. He's using NuCalm now and he's sleeping more. Go to NuCalm.com, Mike15 promo code. NuCalm.com, promo code Mike15 for an extra 15% off. Go today.
Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience podcast. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. Mike is passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
Jordan Modiano, thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. Like we talked about before we hit record, everybody has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. So with your permission, we're going to start with where you were born, go up to today, and then we want to talk about the amazing things you're doing with your coaching practice, the leadership that you're teaching, the speaking that you're doing. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here.
So where were you born?
So I was born Long Island, New York.
Yeah.
Upstate New York now, but I was born on Long Island. Long time ago.
Did you grow up there? Did you grow up there?
Grew up on Long Island. Yeah, I moved away as an adult.
Yeah.
I was probably my 30s when I moved away. So, grew up Long Island just outside of New York City. So I still have some of that accent. It's amazing when I'm back down in the city or some friends from the city come up here, the accent comes out a lot stronger.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that acclamation thing.
Oh, absolutely. I grew up in a little town and, growing up in the 70s and 80s was a lot different than it is now,
Yeah.
You hear about it, the kids go out and, after school, you go out and play. And when the street lights come on, you might come back home and have some dinner and then you're back out again until whenever. And nobody cared. It was all good.
Yeah.
Grew up in a neighborhood where you can walk into any house, anywhere on your block, the next block, et cetera. And you knew everybody and it was okay. And it was fine. It wasn't unheard of to get in trouble. Street fights happened. You got your butt kicked. You kicked other people's butts. That was just what happened. You played ball in the streets and, all that kind of crazy kid stuff we did, riding bicycles with no helmets and making ramps and jumping and getting hurt and falling down and winding up in the hospital. That was all part of childhood.
And somehow we survived.
Somehow
we survived. What's that about, right?
Yeah. I don't know. By today's definition, we should have all been dead.
Yeah.
Or at least brain damage. Maybe we are. I don't know.
I am. I can promise you that. Somebody called me the other day and said, I want to pick your brain. I said, well, it won't take long. It's slim pickings.
Yeah.
Right. I have 3
There's
brain
not much
cells
left.
I have 3 brain cells left and you're welcome to them, So growing up, who was the most influential person to you?
I think me.
There you go.
I don't know why at a young age, I learned some stuff that is carried through with me to the rest of my life. And this may resonate with some of your audience, maybe not. And they've actually written books about this. So I hated school. I hated elementary school. I hated nursery school. I hated school. To this day, my mom tells the story. My first day of first grade, I left. I left. She was home with my brother, who was 18 months younger than me. And about 10 o'clock in the morning, I come walking in the door. And she's like, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Don't like school. Interrupts playtime. I'm not going back." To this day, they'll say that they put me in school too early, but I did not like school, hated school. And what made it really worse is back then my mother was a math teacher. And from math teacher, she went to assistant principal of the school. And my dad was a guidance counselor. And he also did a summertime job where he taught typing, and like they were all about school and education. That was the world. And probably why I hated it. Full rebellion, couldn't stand it.
Wow.
So, and I didn't do what was necessary. I barely graduated high school, but at a young age, I learned two important words: F it. Like whatever, what's the worst that's going to happen? F it. And didn't do my homework. F it. And it, good, bad, or otherwise, I became somebody who understood that, hey, with risks, there's rewards, there's other stuff. And you don't always have to follow the rules, and you're not always going to please everybody. And sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And that F it is sometimes good and sometimes really bad based on what you're using it for,
Depends on the fork in the road, right?
Choice,
which fork do you take?
Yeah, when that bad choice is sitting there and you're like, F it.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't have done that one. but I learned a lot, and I pushed myself to have different life experiences, some good, some bad, some of the things that, you might say you regret, but there's no regretting it because it made me who I am. I learned shouldn't have done that, but I did it. Here's what I learned. So, I do think, and I think we all have that opportunity to kind of look at ourselves. And I've always been very introspective. My mom as a kid would say, like, how do you know yourself so well? I just paid attention to myself, and it helped me navigate stuff. And it helped me also understand, oh, there's some stuff coming down from my actions here. F it. I'll deal with it, and it happened. And you also know that some stuff's going to be fun. Some stuff's not going to be fun. So it sounds corny, but when I think about it, it was me, and it was who I aspired to be.
I don't think it sounds corny at all.
Answer that question?
No, it's great. That's a great question. I don't think it sounds corny at all. It's who you are and how you're made. And, I read on jordanmodiano.com about you before we started this. And that's sort of the running theme of your life is you just go out there and get after it and you learn from it, right? You might be one of the smartest people on the planet. I do my own thing. Because you've learned from your experiences. Some of us are, too dumb to learn from our experiences, right? We just keep making the same one.
I've learned from them. And there was a certain point in time where I realized some of this is just stupid because I don't need to have all of these experiences to learn. Other people have been through hell and I can learn from them, But, and I made a lot of dumb choices. I remember in high school, so I'm not a stupid guy by any means. And my parents heard this from kindergarten right up until my senior years, if he would just apply himself. Well, here's the challenge. And this is what I explain to other people. I would apply myself, but the where and how and what I wanted to apply myself was different than what you had in your vision for me.
Right.
So there was always turmoil. There was always arguing. There was always fighting because I knew what I wanted to do, regardless if it was right or wrong or otherwise. And if I wanted to do it just as my rebellious stage or whatever, I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to go here and you wanted me to go there, we weren't going to agree. And if
Exactly.
I'm willing to apply myself here and it's a fight, well, I'm going to go further this
Yeah.
way. And then it just
Well,
seems worse.
it's kind of like the
And-
old
and
adage,
that-
right? Tell me I can't do something and watch me do it, you know?
Yeah. 100%. And that's what happened. I mean, two parents who were heavily into education and other stuff, and I became a gearhead. I wanted to work on cars. I wanted to do that stuff. I wanted to be in a shop class, not going to school to be a doctor or a lawyer. And that, that created this conflict in the house.
Yeah.
But that conflict gave me my resilience.
Yeah.
That conflict gave me the ability to just say, I don't need anybody to believe in me. I'm going to go do what I need to do for me.
And is it
Does that mean
possible it
people won't
added to
believe in
your,
me?
is it possible it added to your determination?
100%.
Yeah. I can
Absolutely.
see it.
Now, the one thing I always knew, like I always knew my parents loved me. I always knew that was there. Did I know if they believed in me or not? Who knows? I know now they always believed in me. No matter what I did, they were believing in me. But
Mhm.
as a teenager, young adult, I'm going to fight the world by myself. I don't need anybody,
Yeah.
and I truly believed that back then. I
Okay.
think that foundation kind of helped develop who I am today.
Yeah, it
And
sounds like it.
that's not a bad thing.
No, not at all. It sounds like it. So, what was your favorite thing about growing up in Long Island?
I don't know if I had one favorite thing.
It's okay. You
I
can have a
think back
few.
about uh, I think back about my childhood and growing up and things like that. There was a certain level of freedom.
Mhm.
So, you know, you'll hear later I'm into racing. So back then as a kid, we were into BMX racing and bike racing, and there were just places to go do it. And, it wasn't, I don't think it's as much about growing up on Long Island as growing up at a different time. There weren't cameras every place. There
Yeah.
wasn't, you know, you got to wear helmets, you got to check in, you got to do this, you got to do that. Don't drink out of the hose. I mean, it was just different.
Mhm.
And things were different. There was opportunities that just don't exist now. I remember I got very competitive into BMX bike racing, and I was young. I was 12. And back then there was stores on Long Island called TSS, Times Square stores. It was like the Walmart, but of many, many years ago. And my parents had got me this $20 bicycle. That was great. It looked awesome, but it was heavy. It didn't work well. And the bike I wanted was $350.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
was aluminum, chromoly. It was all
Mhm.
kinds of other stuff. And I was like, I'm literally riding my bicycle on Saturdays 20 miles away by myself so I could go race
Mhm.
and finishing second and third compared to these kids whose dads are bringing them in their station wagons or pickup trucks, and they got great equipment, and I can't beat them. And I remember telling my dad, hey, I need this bike. He goes, get a job.
Mhm.
Like, that might be one of the best things he ever told me. I'm like, I'm too young. He goes, get the papers, I'll sign them. So I got a job delivering papers.
Beautiful.
And I doubled her out. I made sure everybody on every block needed a newspaper. It was like, you got to have a paper like this. If I'm coming down this street, you need newspapers, so I
Mhm.
could make my 10 cents a week or whatever it was.
Right.
And it was like a year later, my dad said to me, how much money you got? I'm like, halfway there. And I used to stop every day in the bike shop and look at it to make sure that bike was still there. I was like,
Yeah.
that was your motivation, right?
Yep.
You knew what you wanted. And he had said to me, all right, you got half the money. Let's go get it. I'll front you the rest. Pay me back.
Wow.
Then that's what we did. Great lesson. I learned a lot. I paid him back. But then I started winning a lot of races.
Yeah.
Like, then you realize what you're working for. Now that actually made a big difference. The product that I was riding made that couple of tenths of a difference in the race. And
It was a
wow,
tool. Yeah.
it was cool. Great lesson. That could have happened anywhere. It happened on Long Island. It happened in that environment. And I think environments are catalysts for what happens in your life.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. What made you get into BMX racing?
I just loved racing. I wanted to race whatever, and that's what I could do. So, You know, if it was skateboard racing, we were skateboarding. We were racing in the streets. We would just race whatever it was.
Yeah.
And hobby, fad, whatever it was at that point in time, that's what I did until I kind of grew a little bit out of it. And, you know, as soon as I was able to drive a car, it was racing cars and wherever, illegal street racing, because we did a lot of that, or racing Riverhead, Long Island, going down to Englishtown, New Jersey and racing. I just got into it. I'm, you know, speed junkie, but you put me on skis, I'm going to race down a mountain too.
Yeah.
It's not as safe as being in a car,
Where do you think your competitive nature
but I like the
comes from?
speed. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have that answer. I think to a degree we're just born with it.
Yeah.
You know, they're just, I don't know. I think maybe it came from the fact that my parents wanted one thing and I wanted something else, and I was rebellious and I did whatever I could to go do it,
Mhm.
and I succeeded. And that succeeding feels good.
Were you
You
determined
know,
to show them wrong?
maybe determined to show them wrong, determined to prove me
Yeah.
right, whatever. It's just, you know, you do it. And over the years, I've really come to learn, and I actually teach this in my leadership. I teach it when I do motivational speaking. You know, you hear the phrase, if you want something, you'll find a way. If not, you're going to make an excuse.
Mhm.
And when I talk to people, I tell people all the time, if you think about your life and you think about the things that have happened in your life, what is it that you've really, really wanted? Something that you've wanted to make happen. Maybe you didn't have the help. Maybe you didn't have the money. Maybe you didn't have the wherewithal, but this is what you wanted. Most of the time, you have figured it out.
Mhm.
Most of the time, and this applies to anybody and everybody, you figured out a way to make it happen. So stop with the excuses, because there's usually a way. Sometimes you got to be creative. Sometimes you got to go against the grain. You know, sometimes it doesn't come to you right away, but there's usually a way to make something happen. Sometimes it means you got to break your back, whatever. You know, it's like, hey, figure it out.
You kind of have to put fear to the side,
You
right?
just-
You just have to park it and get after it.
Yeah, I mean, fear is good and fear is bad.
Yeah.
So, you know, I race cars. Fear keeps me safe to a degree.
Mhm.
Right. So I'm not going to get in the race car without my fire suit, without my helmet, my Hans device, without the fire extinguisher loaded up and ready to go and everything the right way. I'm not doing that because there is a certain level of fear. Every time
Mhm.
you get in a race car, it could be your last time. You know, that's just something that we know we don't talk about, but it's true.
Mhm.
But once you get out there, I can't be afraid.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's concrete walls, there's other cars, there's a bunch of other idiots doing 100 and something miles an hour and trying to make a turn when you can't turn. But you can't be afraid. You have to take the risk. You have to take the opportunity, because if you do stop because of the fear, you don't ever get the victory.
Yeah.
You're not going to get to enjoy it. I think, you know, Will Smith said it best. I remember he did this speech and he was talking about jumping off an airplane, and they were all celebrating with his birthday, and they were like, hey, we should go skydiving tomorrow. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And then he was like, what the hell did I just say? There was no way. And he had all this fear and all this anxiety about it.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh my God. And I mean, the way he tells the story is amazing. I'm not going to go through it here. If you want to find out, Google Will Smith skydiving, you're going to love the story.
Mhm.
But when he jumps out the plane and he's completely petrified, and then it all goes silent. And he said, what he discovered is that bliss was just on the other side of fear.
Yeah.
And it was the most amazing experience he ever had. So why have all that fear and all that anxiety? Well, I would venture to say that bliss reached a higher level because of all the fear and all the anxiety.
Mhm.
If that fear and that anxiety wasn't there to some degree, that wouldn't have been nearly as special.
Yeah.
It's
True.
kind of like if it rains every day, the day it doesn't rain, it's nice
Mhm.
and it's beautiful and you love it and you value it. Where if every day it's 80 degrees and sunny, That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Gets a little boring, right?
Yeah. But fear stops people. They forget what's on the other side of it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
people confuse fear and anxiety, two totally different things.
mhm.
You know, fear is real. You drop a tiger in my room right now, I'm going to be fearful. That's 100%. You talk about putting a tiger in my room and I get nervous about it. That's anxiety. It's perceived. Two totally different things.
Yeah. I got you.
I know I'm going all over the place.
No,
We've
you're
diverted
fine.
from my
You're
life
fine.
a little.
This is your life story. You're going wherever you want to go. So in high school, and I know this is going to sound strange because you didn't like school, but we always ask this question. In high school, did you have a favorite subject other than recess?
Yeah. So funny, in high school, I was working at a gas station. I still remember the gas station. I remember the owner of it, and things were different back then. So gas stations were like those service shops. You
Mhm.
not only would somebody come out, pump you gas, check your oil, air and tires, wash your windows. So I was that guy, but I also did the oil changes.
Mhm.
And so this guy comes in with this Chevy station wagon. It's Mr. M. He was the shop teacher at the high school.
Mhm.
So I'm changing his oil at the gas station. He's a
Mhm.
shop teacher. Like he could have any of the kids in the shop doing it.
Right.
And to get into shop class, you had to take these precursors
Mhm.
that my parents never let me take. So I didn't have like the small engine repair and this other stuff. But now I have the teacher of the shop class standing there while I'm changing his oil. So I'm like, so Mr. M, I didn't take any of the other classes, but here I am working on your car. Can I get into your shop class? It's like, absolutely.
Can we call this a
So I got
precursor?
Didn't need them. Like,
Yeah, I love that.
I'm working on his car. Like I told you, there's always a way, right?
That's right.
You just
That's
gotta
right.
find those ways.
Just
And
change
you-
the shop teacher's oil. You're good.
And you gotta have the ability and the wherewithal to step out of a comfort zone and ask.
Yeah.
Because things aren't going to fall into your lap. And sometimes the door opens, but if you're not willing to walk through it and do something that, you know, is unconventional,
Mhm.
you might not land where you want to land. I was probably the first kid in that high school who ever wound up in shop class who didn't do the precursors.
Mhm.
But how many people get the opportunity to ask the teacher and they put themselves in a place where it works? You
Yeah.
know, sometimes it's, you know, putting yourself in a place and have an opportunity there and then knock it. You know,
Mhm.
you learn from those things. So he said, sure, come on into shop class. I love shop class because back then I was like, all right, I'm building a hot rod.
Gotcha.
And I was able to bring the car in, bring an engine in. We built an engine in the shop class. It's like stuff
Wow.
I'd be doing nights and weekends for fun. I'm getting to do it in shop class.
And you're
It was
getting
great.
credit for it. Yeah. And you
I
have
got
help.
credit for it. And all the tools, like
Yeah.
way better tools than anything I had in my
Way
house.
better. Way better.
Absolutely.
That's
So-
awesome.
And then, you know, to my parents' dismay, he reached out to a car dealer and got me and a friend of mine a job at a car dealer. And we went in as, you know, auto techs, new car prep folks, totally not going to college and doing the lawyer or doctor thing my parents wanted, but like, hey, this is what I wanted. I stayed at that car dealer for 7 months.
Wow.
But I was in my mindset, I wanted to learn and grow.
Yeah.
We landed at that car dealer and they're like, all right, we're sending this guy to school. We're going to teach him all about the computers and fuel injections. It's like, awesome. I want to do that. So I learned this stupid, pimply faced 17-year-old kid became their top guy on fuel injection and computers in the late 80s, you know, and that was all brand new. So it worked well for me. The rest of the techs didn't like me and my buddy.
No.
No, not because of that, because they were a union shop
Mm-hmm.
and we were hungry.
Mm-hmm.
So we were working through lunch. We
Yeah.
told you don't do that. You're making us look bad. Too
Mhm.
bad. We would come in on Saturdays, picking extra hours. You don't do that. Too
Mhm.
bad. Well, then I told them, all right, listen, I got all this stuff down, Pat. I want you to send me to school for engine building or transmission building. And guess what they told me? No. I said, no. Like, I'm 17. I'm like learning. Like, this is my opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
Send me to school for this stuff.
Right.
No. I quit. Like that. Just quit. Like,
Wow.
what do you mean you quit? I'm like, I learned what I can learn. You're not going to help me grow and learn more. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I went and got a job at a gas station. I'll never forget this. The guy who owned the gas station's name was Howie. And he was hiring me as a mechanic. He was like, "Do you know how to do a clutch job?" I've never done one. He was like, "You're hired." Like, because I've never done a clutch job. He said, "No, because you're honest enough to tell me." I'm like, "All right, I'll take the job on one condition. You got to have somebody here teach me."
Right.
So they taught me, and I learned how to do that. And before I knew it, I was assistant manager at one of his other shops. And then I was like, all right, I can open my own business. So I opened my own auto repair business, and I started doing that. And you realize how much you don't know.
Yeah.
What I did find out is I knew a lot about leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about running a business. I didn't know about P&Ls. I didn't know about all of that stuff. I knew about leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how I figured that out. It just came natural. And it sounds weird to say that, but some of my best friends today, I hired and became some of the most loyal people that I've ever had. And once I closed that business and moved on, we stayed friends and we've become very good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look back, I was like, I did the right stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know where I got that from. Maybe I got it from my parents. Maybe I got it from somebody else at another job. Maybe I learned what not to do from other companies, because I've had a lot of that in my life also, where I've been like, okay, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to do that. I got to do the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Again, that's that introspective part that I got lucky to have.
Yeah. So do we mind if we go back just a bit?
No, absolutely.
So do you know the 3 people that I know of that worked at a service station? You, Nick Saban. You know Nick Saban?
Absolutely.
One of his favorite stories is he went back to his hometown and he took Miss Terry with him, his wife. And he goes back and they're driving by the service station. And he says, "Now you see there, if you hadn't married, if we hadn't been married, right? If you'd have married that guy, you'd own a service station." And she said, "If I'd have married that guy, he'd be a national champion football coach." Right?
Absolutely.
And the other one that worked at a service station was my dad.
Oh, I'm in good company.
Is that wild?
I'm in really good company. Absolutely.
And by the way, my dad is a motorhead. He became a body man 60 some years ago and still is to this day. He's semi-retired, but yeah, I mean, is that crazy?
It is.
Go ahead.
I'd venture to say you probably know a lot more, and people who just don't say it, like things get a certain stigma, and working at a service station could be one of them. Yeah. It could be like working at a McDonald's, something like that, where people are like, that's probably not the highlight thing that I should talk about in my history.
Yeah.
But whatever, everything that I've done has made me who I am, and I'm comfortable.
Dad had a paper route too. Dad had a paper route too.
Did he really?
Oh yeah.
I like your dad.
And he was a drag racing champion.
Was he really?
He was.
That's awesome.
It was his sort of claim to fame, if you will, is that Carroll Shelby borrowed his Mustang.
That's fantastic.
At a drag race. They were testing Ford Motor Company parts, racing parts, and they ran out of cars. And so Carroll Shelby came to my dad and said, "Look, you're amazing. You're doing really well, all that. You mind if we borrow your car, put these Ford parts on, do some runs, right? And you can keep the Ford racing parts for free." That's like done and done, right?
Why not?
Yeah. So back in the day, Carroll Shelby borrowed my dad's Mustang to test it.
That is an amazing story.
Isn't that crazy?
Like that alone, you can create a book about.
Yeah. So I'm growing up in Oklahoma, and in the attic, there's all these trophies that are way taller than I am, right? And I'm, 3-4 feet tall, whatever, right? But these trophies are big, like they're 4 or 5 feet tall. Turns out they're drag racing championship trophies.
That's awesome.
And my dad put them up in the attic and never looked at them again. Just put them away. And I used to ask him, so what's that? Nothing. Wow.
You know, I had this conversation yesterday with somebody about trophies because I have a ton of them.
Yeah.
And you could probably see there's one on the corner back there
Yeah, I see
behind
it.
me.
I see
And we
it.
just keep it up there because it looks good in the background setting.
Yeah.
But I got a ton in the attic. And like, what do you do with them?
Yeah.
Like, what
Well,
do you
some
do?
people build rooms around them, right? And they build them specifically so they can display them and all that. And some people, it's just not their thing, and
Yeah,
and for whatever reason, dad didn't care anything about showing that stuff off. He cared about the competing part. He didn't care about the trophy part. He just cared about the winning.
and it's funny, and I venture to say winning's important.
Yeah.
But for those of us who do this, like my racing's a hobby. I do it. Can you make some money at it? Sure. Do I sell sponsorships and do some good stuff for my sponsors? Yes. But I'm never getting rich doing my racing. All right.
Yeah.
If I want to become a millionaire doing my racing, I better start as a billionaire because it's a money eating venture,
It's a money burning venture, right?
100%. So, 2 weeks ago, we've had a tough season. 2 weeks ago, we parked in Victory Lane and we won.
Yeah.
And it was a good night. The best part of the night for me was with my team, my sponsors, my wife, my daughter, and those people who care so much and watch me invest so much and sacrifice what they got out of it.
Yeah.
Because 2 weeks before that, I finished 10th or 11th or 12th. And in that race where I finished 10th or 11th and 12th, me and the guy who finished 11th and 10th or whatever, we ran side by side, beating and banging, not in a bad way, but just competitive, hard racing for lap after lap after lap. We were the best race on the racetrack. It was so much fun. It was so difficult. But that result sucks.
Yeah.
But it was fun. You know what I mean? Like you could actually have a lot of fun sometimes and not finish great and get off the track and like, you're wiped out. You're exhausted. I can't believe I worked this hard to finish 10th or 11th or whatever it was.
Right.
And you go and talk to the guys that you're racing with and you have a couple of beers together and it was a blast.
Yeah.
But everybody who's there supporting you and putting their time and energy and sweat and tears into this, like that just sucked.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Sometimes the win, while it's great, it becomes for everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
We're going to take a real quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the keys to leadership that you teach and are helping people take their business to a whole nother level. We'll be right back. Did you know there's an app that has no side effects that allows you to use sound waves to tell your brain what you want it to do? It's called NuCalm.com, and it's amazing. It literally uses sound waves. If you want to tell your brain to go to sleep, if you want to tell your brain to recover, if you want to tell your brain to put you in peak physical state, if you want to tell your brain to focus, if you want to tell your brain to take a power nap, you can do all of these things and more with NuCalm.com. Go to NuCalm.com today, promo code Mike15. NuCalm.com, promo code Mike15 for an extra 15% off. Go there today. We're back with Jordan Modiano, and we're talking about your life story. We were talking, you just won a race last week, and what a great time it was, and how much you enjoyed seeing the people that support you and the looks on their faces, how much they enjoyed it. That's one of the things that just screams out at me about you in terms of leadership. I know that's why you're teaching it. So after you start, so let me go back. What was it that made you decide to start your own shop? You said you started your own garage and you had been doing clutch jobs and all that kind of thing, right? Working for that service station, for that mechanic shop. What was it that made you go out and start your own company?
I like working hard. Yeah. And I wanted to work hard for me. I wanted to do it on my terms. Like most entrepreneurs, I want my terms. I want to fight for my financial freedom, my relationship freedom, my time freedom, and everything else. And, and I was never one who was much for taking orders from somebody else.
Yeah.
And not that I like giving orders, but I like to pave the way.
Yeah.
So, that's what I did, and learned a lot, made a lot of big mistakes, hurt my back, did some other stuff, but it is what it is. It makes you who you are. And it led me to doing other businesses and other types of things, and putting myself far out of my comfort zone over and over and over again, and going out and having to sell stuff, becoming a partnership in a different company. And when I left that partnership, I was like, hey, I'm going to go try something different. And I got into media and got into radio sales. And it was like crazy. And I remember my first interview in radio sales. And the guy I interviewed, it was a country station on Long Island. And the only thing I knew about country radio was what my old business partner had used to listen to, because he was from Georgia. So I went in, I interviewed, and he said to me, you've never sold anything. Why should I hire you? I'm like, all I've ever done is sell stuff. Because you've never had a sales job. I said, I opened my first business when I was 17 or 18. I was a pimply-faced, long-haired kid trying to get grown adults, because you don't consider yourself a grown adult, to trust me to fix their car. And they did.
Right.
And they did like crazy. The guy ended up calling me back later the same day and said, I've never done this before. I want you to meet the general manager. Then they hired me on the spot, which was kind of cool. And I ended up staying there for the better part of a year, until me and my girlfriend, now my wife, decided to move to upstate New York, where I got back into radio, did that for 5 or 6 years, became partners in an advertising agency, and decided I wanted to do non-partnership and just do my own stuff, and wound up buying the franchise for Express Employment Professionals. And that kind of just led into speaking and leadership, and then there's more. So back in 2001, my wife and I adopted our little girl. So we adopted Rachel. And if you've read anything on my website, you've probably read a little bit about her too. And she's our only one. We don't have any other kids. We couldn't have any on our own, but she is ours 100%. It's not like I have an adopted kid. I have a kid.
Yeah.
And she's got autism. So over the years, I've kind of turned autism into one of my big things.
Yeah.
And it started by us taking the race car and making the race car an autism awareness car, which is then metamorphosized into autism races and autism charity. And I started a not-for-profit last year called Races for Autism. And I learned a tremendous amount from my daughter. And I use a lot of that in what I teach in leadership. I also use what I read and everything else. But I learned so many lessons from my daughter, and we work on stuff together. And I realized the stuff we work on together can apply in so many other aspects in life, because commonly autism isn't just autism. It's a spectrum. And on that spectrum, there are other things. So my daughter struggles with ADHD. She struggles with anxiety. She struggles with frustration. So she struggles with different things, meltdowns. So lots of kids and adults with autism have meltdowns. And we learn things as we go, because there's no training, like as parents, we know there's not, here's your parenting 101 book. Here's all the answers you'll ever need to every situation that happens. That doesn't exist. Now go in and drop in somebody with special needs. And if it's not special needs, it's drop in somebody who's got childhood cancer or somebody else. I mean, whatever it is, as parents, we have to figure stuff out. And I've just realized I can combine things. And when I'm figuring out stuff with Rachel, a lot of that applies in the leadership world, because problems are similar. I'll give you an example. We worked on something years ago, and we still work on it, where there's no bad days, just bad minutes. And that's hard, right? But how many people do you know who something goes wrong in the morning and their day's ruined?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The day's wasted.
Day's
just-
wasted. It's
yeah,
done. Your
yeah.
whole day is shot to hell
Yeah.
because somebody cut you off or you spilled your coffee on your way in the morning. I actually spilled my coffee on the way in the morning. Really did. This suit just came back from the dry cleaner. No big
Mhm.
deal. Like sucked for 2 minutes and then whatever. It is what it is.
Right.
Goes back to that as a kid, that effort,
Mhm.
But so we learned there's no bad days, just bad minutes.
Mhm.
About 2 years ago, taking her to a dance class, and Rachel's very adamant on time. Things have to happen on time. You have to be on time. You have to, if I say I'm going to be home around 5:15, that doesn't mean 5:16 or
Mhm.
5:14. It means 5:15. So we've learned, hey, I'm going to be home somewhere between 4 and 8.
Is it between 4 and 8? Okay, we're good. I'm covered.
It's like it's around 5:15. It's 5:15. So we're at this dance class, and we'll call her Miss B. Miss B's the dance teacher. She's got a kids with special needs. She teaches a special needs class as part of some of the other dance classes she teaches, and she makes pickles, ferments pickles, whatever the right word is, what you do with pickles. So the week
Mhm.
before, when my wife and Rachel were there, she had given him a jar of pickles
Mhm.
that she had done. So Rachel was bringing the jar back.
Mhm.
And we get to dance a little bit early. So the plan is we're going to sit in the car for 5 minutes. Then we're going to go in and we'll wait 5 minutes. Then dance class will start. So
Mhm.
we walk into this waiting room area. It's hardwood floors, chairs all around the side, a bunch of parents in there. And the kids that are in the dance area right now, and it's a padded floor, so they're all in with either no shoes or just socks on,
Mhm.
are all like 4 and 5-year-old kids, maybe even younger. So they're little kids.
Yeah.
Some of them are coming, running out, getting a drink, doing something else. And Miss B cracks the door open and says to the parents, hey guys, we started a little bit late, so we're going to stay a few minutes later. And then she sees Rachel and she looks at Rachel and says, hey, Rach, I'm not going to chip you guys out of time. Also, we're also going to start a few minutes late. Meltdown immediately.
Mhm.
Glass jaw. No! Boom! Glass everywhere. Little kids in there, parents in there. 2 leadership lessons.
Yeah.
Everybody turned and looked at me. All I wanted to do is pick her up and run out, leave, never come back. Like, that's it. That's all I wanted to do.
Mhm.
Like, I wanted to run. I wanted to run and cry,
Mhm.
protect my kid, get her out of there, and not deal with this. I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do that. So I hit the floor and started picking stuff up,
Mhm.
just like that. Rachel's standing behind me crying, but I'm on my knees already picking up the big glass places I can see. And I see a person's foot come down next to me and start pushing stuff over and moving. And, you're aware of what's happening. And parents have suddenly picked up all the kids, made sure their feet are okay, put them in the dance room. Mrs. B has blocked the door so they can't get out. Rachel walks outside and she's screaming, we need to leave now. We need to leave now. And I'm like, I can't leave. I understand this was hard. All right, I understand. You can do this. Here's the keys to the car. You can go sit in the car and I have to clean up. I can't leave without you, Daddy. Okay. Do you want to come in and sit down while I'm cleaning up? So she says, okay. So she's inside. She's sitting down now, totally upset. And she's more upset now, not about the time, but she's more upset about the mess she's made.
Mhm.
And that she scared a bunch of people
Mhm.
because she understands that.
Yeah.
And these parents were amazing. Everybody came together. They started helping clean stuff up. Somebody found a broom. Somebody found a vacuum. They're picking up chairs. I tell you what, when we were done, that floor's cleaner than it ever been. It was cleaner than when it was new.
Yeah.
And the kids come out. The parents are starting to leave. And I sit down next to Rachel and she's calming down. And this woman comes over to me. And she grabs, I'm sitting on, if you're looking at us, I'm sitting on the left and Rachel's sitting to the right. So this woman comes over and grabs my hand and grabs Rachel's hand and says, I just want you to know it's okay. I have autism too.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I'll never forget that. Like, she made everything okay.
Yeah.
And she leaves and a guy comes over. One of the dads comes over and looks at Rachel and goes, "It's okay." And shakes my hand and goes, "You're an amazing dad." Like, I wanted to run.
Mhm.
I wanted to run and to get that. So Miss B comes out and says, "Come on, Rachel, are we going to dance today?" And she's like, "I don't know. I don't think I can."
Mhm.
"Yes, you can. It's okay." So she goes and she dances and she has a great time.
Mhm.
We leave the dance class and we get in the car and she goes, "Daddy, I'm sorry. It was just bad minutes though. We're not going to let it ruin the day."
Ooh.
Yes. Yes.
Go, Rachel. All right.
I still felt later that day, for me, it was emotional. It was hard. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want to see that for your kid. You don't want
Yeah.
to be there. Like, I still, like, even telling you the story now, I feel sadness
Yeah.
because of what she went through
Yeah. You
that I
never
don't
want your kid to go
understand.
through that.
And so later that day, I'm walking the dog and I decided to make a quick video and talk about it. And I posted it up on LinkedIn. And I posted up about the leadership lessons about not running,
Mhm.
about facing what you've got to face, even when it's hard, because you don't know what that outcome is going to be like,
Yeah.
and about bad minutes, not bad
Mhm.
days. The next morning, somebody I'm connected with on LinkedIn says, "I was in, my daughter was in the class before yours, and I was there and I witnessed it. Not only is she lucky to have you, but you're amazing at what you've done. And it was amazing to see that she always felt safe and calm."
Yeah.
So that other leadership lesson, and there's really three. So you've got the one that there's bad minutes, not bad days. You can't let it ruin your day. Something
Right.
bad's going to happen. It's whether it's in business and personal life, whatever. Can't
Yeah.
let it ruin your day. Second one, all right. Sometimes you want to run. Sometimes you don't want to face what you need to face, but you have to because that's the better outcome.
Yeah.
And the third leadership lesson, and this is really important for leaders, for parents, for everybody, people are watching.
Mm.
Like, you're always being watched. I'm not saying being judged, but we always have the opportunity to set an example,
Mhm.
to show how to act in a right way, to show how we can overcome something. And when we want to talk about in our life, the impact we make, we don't know the impact we make because most people aren't going to hop on LinkedIn and say, "I was there. I saw what you did." But they might be telling somebody else, "I was there and I saw what this dad did. I hope I could be as good as him one day." Or, "We have to work on doing stuff like that." Or, "Here's how we can help somebody else." Like, we never know what that impact is. We've got to blindly believe it.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're always on stage, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're just a dad, if you're a shop owner, if you're, somebody who's a
Nick
star,
Saban.
right? Oh, yeah, Nick Saban, right? You could be any of those things, and judgment comes with it too. I mean, there are people that are going to judge you. It's the way the world works, okay? And I would submit to you that if people are judging you, it's more about their shortcomings and their insecurities than it ever is about you, right?
And,
It's
and that's why I don't even consider it.
Yeah,
Like,
they put people down because it makes them feel better about themselves, right?
100%.
Because their life is not where they want their life to be or whatever. So, and whatever. I mean, nothing we can do, we can't do anything to control that. What
Correct.
we can do is control what we do. Like, the best thing about what you did was you controlled your reaction. You controlled your emotions. You controlled as much of that situation as you possibly could that was completely out of control. I mean, you got
Right.
kids running everywhere barefooted. You got parents everywhere. You've got glass shards everywhere on the floor. I mean, it's like, hello. And then on top of it, Rachel's having a meltdown, right?
Yeah.
And she's wanting to leave. She's wanting to go now. And the fact that you're not going now is making her meltdown even more. And so it's like, I mean, people take from your lead, right?
100%.
Because you're on stage, dude. You're just on stage. And it doesn't matter where it is, and it doesn't matter what the situation is. You have an opportunity to lead by example, and hopefully people listen to this and they will, right?
Yes. Well, it's
I
your
mean,
podcast. There's thousands that are going to be listening, millions.
well, let's hope so. I mean, we just surpassed 3.5 million listens,
That's awesome.
downloads, all that, right? In like a couple of days ago. And we're fastly approaching 3.6 million. So we're picking up steam. We're in 64 countries worldwide. Your episode 351, and we're not even 2 years old yet. We'll be 2 years old on August 15th. So when we get to August 15th, we're going to have close to 400 episodes. And it's really a cool thing. Antoniette Rose actually sent you an email that you forwarded to me, and that was great. I appreciate it. But it got me thinking. I had her on yesterday. I just interviewed her yesterday, right? And she said, you're in the top something percent of podcasts worldwide. I didn't quite catch the number that I'm a little hard of hearing nowadays, right? I didn't quite hear what she said. It sort of skipped a little. And so afterwards, it got me thinking, I wonder what she's talking about. So I hadn't seen the invitation that she sent you with the copy of the email. And thank you for doing that, by the way.
Absolutely.
I hadn't seen that, right? And so I'm looking, and all of a sudden it pops up that we're, according to Listen Score, we're in the top 0.5% of podcasts worldwide in popularity.
Up 0.5%.
0.5%. That's what she put in that. That's what she put in that email she sent you, that you copied for me.
Yeah.
And I'm literally looking at it going, no, that can't possibly be right. I Googled Listen Score, and sure as all get out, that's exactly what it said.
That's awesome.
Oh, I know. And I'm like,
I forwarded it to you. You'd think I remember.
Can you imagine? I don't know if you can see this.
Can you see it? I see it, but yeah, it's too hard to see from this far.
Okay, so let me do this. Can you see that?
Well, I'm old also, so here we go. Yeah, I see it.
Is that crazy?
That is crazy. That's awesome,
dude. And I had no idea. It took her to point that out. You know what I mean? But it's one of those things where you just kind of go, whoa.
But leadership lesson, another one right there.
Yeah.
You had no idea. Your motivation isn't to be top 5%. Your motivation is to deliver something amazing to audiences, and you're having fun doing it and everything else. And boom, that follows.
Yeah. Well, I dig people, and I know you can't tell because I hide it really well, but I really dig people. I get a kick out of them, right? And the thing I get the biggest kick out of is their stories, their life stories, and how they're life lessons for people.
Oh, right? There are lessons every day.
Yeah.
And they don't stop. And, I did a promotional video, or not even a promotional video. I'm doing this leadership series on LinkedIn. I did a video the other day, and it was just about listening.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the skills that people struggle with. Like, listen, you can learn so much, you can hear so much, you become in tune. And it's not just to listen with your ears, but pay attention to people's actions and their body language. And there's so much there. Yeah. And the world is so rewarding in so many ways if you give it the opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, for me, one of my biggest highlights of 2025 so far, because I expect more, when we started doing the autism races and the charities and getting sponsors and funds, it became overwhelming. So we started a not-for-profit, and I started a not-for-profit called Racers for Autism, which is yet another entity that I now have. Mm-hmm. And this year we hired our first person. We hired a woman with special needs, and it's like we're living what we're supposed to be doing. Yeah. And it's like she's working on picking up donations and other stuff, and I love it. And I hear the excitement in her voice, and she's so excited. And she's like, I reached out to this person, I got this person, and like we've helped given her purpose, but her purpose is helping us give purpose to other people. It's just amazing what you can do. And I think it's kind of tuning into the world and, listening and seeing, and I don't know, it's very cool.
Okay. So I've got a couple of questions for you. Number one, how did you end up, you said that you sort of accidentally ended up in speaking. Most people don't accidentally end up in speaking. So talk to us for just a second about that part of your life. So how did you end up where you started speaking in public?
We'll go back some years, and I don't know, I've always been good at it. I've always been motivational. People have always told me I'm motivational. So we'll go back some years, and I'm doing a staff meeting. And in my staff meeting, one of the people there goes, "You should really be like, you should do a TED Talk." Like, I didn't even know what a TED Talk was. I was like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, you're so good at it. Like, you should. And like 3 weeks later, somebody else told me the same thing. I'm like, this is just weird. So I asked a couple of people that I know, I'm like, "Hey, what do you think?" And they're like, "Absolutely. It's a no-brainer for you. Like, you're excited, you're passionate, you speak well, you know how to motivate people and get people pumped up and excited." So then my old business partner calls me and says, "Hey, I have a favor to ask you." I'm like, "Sure." She goes, "We're doing an off-site team meeting for, all 30 people. And I need something high energy, inspirational to kick it off. Can you come and speak?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. How much are you going to charge me?" Like, "Nothing, but I want to bring somebody and I want them to watch and see." So I bring the president of one of the local chambers, and he sits in and he listens. So he sees it and he's like, "Yeah, I want to book something for you also." So he booked something for me to come and speak to the chamber. And it kind of it went from there. And I enjoyed doing it. My own personal mission has become to change the world for one person at a time.
Yeah.
That's my personal mission. If I could be on a stage in front of 1,000 people or 2,000 people, and 10% of them can leave with one thing that inspires them, that motivates them, that makes a difference in their life. And here's the thing, when 10% do that, they have an impact on somebody else, who then has an impact on somebody else. I'm magnifying my own personal mission.
Ripples.
And I believe I can impact more than just 10%.
Yeah.
I believe my messaging can resonate with more people. I believe I can get more people to take an action than just 10% of who's ever in there. And from the times I've spoken and what has happened, the feedback I've gotten has just been absolutely amazing. So yeah, I kind of fell into it. I like it. I've got a lifetime of different stories that I can share and pull out of my hat.
That's cool.
All right. What's your next question?
That's cool. Okay. So the next question is, you decide at some point to start teaching leadership. And I know really kind of the way you've lived your life, you've been teaching leadership, people by osmosis, right?
Sure.
The thing is, at some point you make the decision that you're going to teach leadership. Talk about what led up to that, because there are people that are watching this that are thinking about getting into teaching and getting into coaching people on leadership, that kind of thing, but they haven't done it, right? So talk about the mindset and frame of mind that goes into doing that.
So it's experiential. And what I mean by that is I can teach this or this or this or this. I can find any different number of frameworks and teach somebody the frameworks. I could teach situational leadership. I can teach all different types of things. But what I've come to learn, and I coined this term years ago, there's something out there called manageritis. So what I have labeled and what I've described manageritis in many cases is you've taken this person who's really good at their job, and whatever it is, they're working assembly, they're a salesperson, they're whatever it is, they're really good at the tasks and what they do. So you're going to make them the supervisor or the manager. Well, that doesn't convey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Management and leadership are two totally different things.
Mm-hmm.
You manage processes, you manage inventory, you manage finances. Okay. You can manage all of that. You lead people.
Mm-hmm.
You don't manage people.
Right.
It's a different deal.
1000%.
So many companies have made that gigantic error of taking their best player and making them a leader.
Mm-hmm.
No, take your best leader and make them a leader.
Right.
All right. It's a different deal. So it doesn't mean these guys and girls who wind up in this leadership role are bad or can't do it, but they haven't been trained the skills.
Right.
Okay. They're fantastic at making widgets, selling widgets, whatever.
Right.
They don't know how to motivate somebody. They might not have that empathy that's needed. They might not understand that leadership and true leadership is foundational, and servant leadership. So you're not better than anybody else. They're all better than you. You've got to figure out how to make them grow and become better.
Think about it logically. You have somebody who's a phenomenal practitioner. You have somebody who goes out there and absolutely kills it all the time. Are they competitive by nature? Now, you're going to take this incredibly successful competitor and you're going to put them in a leadership role?
Companies do it all the time.
I understand, but it doesn't make any logical sense. You got to think about this for a second. Leaders don't compete with their people. Leaders lead their people, right? Servant leadership and competition are not the same thing.
Totally different. You're 100% right. Now, I'm going to flip this around, okay? Because you're thinking like a leader.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to flip this around to corporate America. We need somebody who runs this department who knows how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny knows how to do it. Put him in charge. Okay. He's been loyal. He's worked hard. He's the number one producer we have. Put him in charge. He deserves this raise because Johnny's not going to be happy to get a new boss.
Right.
All right. Okay. That makes logic sense until somebody like me comes along and says, wait a minute, Johnny's your number one producer.
Right.
Your production's going to go down. Your customer's going to be upset because that's going to happen. And then you're going to put Johnny in this role. He doesn't know how to lead people. He's going to be in competition with them, and that's not going to work.
Right.
You want to keep Johnny happy. If he's your number one producer, give him a little bit of a raise and bring on somebody who understands how good Johnny is and is going to help Johnny grow
and will support him
to a higher level and make Johnny even happier at work.
And be Johnny's servant leader.
Yes.
Hello.
But common sense to you and I, so many folks don't get that.
Right.
So when I say it's experiential, a lot of it really depends on the situation that people are in, because there's so much leadership that's a one size fits all, and there are things and there are tactics. But I'm a big believer that you can train a ton of people on best practices and best other things. But if you really want to help somebody grow, you got to get to know that person a little bit, because people struggle with different things. You know, you can have somebody in a leadership role who struggles with confidence. So what you're helping that person do is totally different than somebody who's got very high confidence is overpowering people. Can't train them the same way.
So there are 4 basic personality types. I've actually taught this for 30 plus years now. The first one, their greatest fear is being taken advantage of, not being in control. The second one, their greatest fear is rejection. The third one, their greatest fear is change. The fourth one, their greatest fear is criticism. So which one are they, right? And what's the thing that they fear the most? And then how do you deal with that? As a leader, you've got to be able to read those people and know how it is that you win with them, right? It's the way it works. And so that's what I'm getting at is, you know, a producer doesn't look at it that way. A producer just goes out and just pins their ears back and gets after it, right? And they just produce. They go get as much as they possibly can, and they eat what they kill, whatever, right? That's their thing. And then you take them and you throw them in a leadership role. What happens? Well, the other people that were working for them go away. Why? Because they feel alienated. They feel overwhelmed. They're not led. They're here, right? It's like, and then all of a sudden you got to go start all over again. And now you have a department that's a mess because you were trying to retain that top producer. Retain the top producer. You're right. Retain the top producer. Pay them a little bit more. Give them more to chase for. Give them a bigger carrot to go get, right? But don't put them in leadership.
You keep them producing.
Yeah.
Or worse yet, put them in a leadership role and keep them doing their job. So now not only are they in a leadership role, but now they're competing with the people they're leading.
Exactly. And that doesn't work. And then you end up losing the producer because the producer gets frustrated and goes somewhere where they can produce.
Correct.
Hello.
But you know what that requires? Higher level leadership training.
Yes.
And so often I see that. I see like, all right, we want you to train our frontline managers. Great. Can I have the next level management team in the training also?
Yeah.
And I'll turn around and I'll say, I'd like you guys to be there for observation.
Yeah.
Now I know it's more than observation. I know I want them here. I want them listening. And I want the frontline managers to see that senior management is vested.
Right.
And if they're not, a lot of times like, I don't know if I want to be doing this.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to get thrown to the wolves and spend, a lot of time doing this when it's not supported and nothing. I'm not going to make any difference because all that I'm going to find out later on is everything I taught didn't work and didn't get implemented. Why? Because these guys decided, hey, we're going to do it, but upper management didn't know and they weren't part of it. And they're like, nah, we're not doing that. So it was all a waste of time and money anyway.
Yeah, true. Absolutely true. Okay. When's the TED Talk?
Don't have one yet, but
come on now.
That keyword is yet.
Come on.
It's would I like to do one? Yes.
Yes.
Is it one of my top priorities right now? It can't be, only because I've got the non-for-profit charity and I've got the business and I've got other stuff. I would love to do it.
Yeah. I'd love for you to do it.
I would love to. And I think I would do a great job.
I know you'd do a great job. That's why I want you to do it. You have a unique perspective about this that the world needs to hear. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so appreciative that you came on our podcast. So let's say somebody wants to work with you. They need leadership help. They want to bring you in as a speaker, that kind of thing. How can they get in touch with you? I've got jordanmodiano.com here. Is that the best way? That's the best way. Okay. Easily. So jordanmodiano.com, and it's jordanmodiano.com.
And they can Google me. I mean, you Google me, you find my LinkedIn. I'm not a hard person to find anymore.
Yeah, that's what I did. I Googled you and you were right there.
Yeah. I would love to do a TED Talk. I would be honored to be on a TED stage. I think I would deliver amazing results.
Me too.
I think those videos would go viral. My challenge is it doesn't just fall in your lap. You got to go after it and go get it.
Yeah, go get it.
And I've got a daughter with special needs. I got an autism race to promote, and I've got a special needs person on the payroll along with my regular business. And I can't neglect that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm just none of it is successful enough where I have the bandwidth to go and focus on the other thing as much as I need to yet.
Yeah.
And the keyword being yet.
You'll get there. And if you need a recommendation, you know where to go.
I'm taking a recommendation, and I'll take any referrals too. Anybody else send them.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. This has been awesome. This has been awesome. Can I ask you a question? Did you know that there's a technology that uses sound waves that'll tell your brain what to do? There literally is. It's called NuCalm.com. It can tell your brain to heal, tell your brain to sleep, tell your brain to do all kinds of things. It can get you fired up. It can be a pre-workout. NuCalm.com, and the promo code is Mike15. NuCalm.com, promo code Mike15 for an extra 15% off. Go today.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at the Mike Litton Experience.